One Sunday afternoon, Grandpa came in and he said, "Who wants to go hiking?" He said, "I want to go hike the trail on Anderson Mountain." Both of the kids stood up screaming, "I do, I do." And they ran up to the room and they put on their hiking shoes, got their hiking stick, and they got their camping stuff that they had had from last summer. Dad said, "Well, I'm going to go too." So he got his shoes on and they all went out to the car. Mom comes to the door and says, "We'll be back by dinner." So they said, "We will." They jumped in the car and they drove. It wasn't very far away. They drove down the road for just a few minutes and got to the base of the mountain. Grandpa said, "Now the trail starts right here." And they all got out and got their stuff, their gear on, and they headed up the trail toward the top of the mountain. Well, along the way, Grandpa was pointing out things that he knew what they were called, and Grandpa was very smart about that. He knew all the names of the trees and the bushes and the berries, and he also told us to look out for snakes and mountain lions and things like that. We thought that was kind of silly. You know, here near a city, how in the world are there going to be mountain lions? So they hiked a little further up the trail, and they came to a really neat-looking bush. So they stopped and they looked at it, and Grandpa was pointing out the shape of the leaves and the different berries that were on it. And just then, we heard rustling in the same bushes. Grandpa said, "Freeze!" So we all froze, but we didn't hear the noise anymore. Grandpa said, "Okay, we can go, but we need to be very careful about mountain lions in this area." So we hiked the rest of the way up till the path ended, and Grandpa said, "It's starting to get dark. We probably need to turn around and go back home. Your mom is ready to give us dinner." So they turned around, they headed back down the path, and just as they did, they heard that rustling again. So the kids knew to freeze, and the rustling stopped. So they started walking again. Just then, a huge mountain lion jumped out right in front of Grandpa. "Ah!" We all screamed. "Grandpa, Grandpa!" He said, "Be still." So Grandpa stood his ground, but so did that mountain lion. And just then, the mountain lion started walking toward Grandpa. So he slowly started backing up. But just as he did that, his foot got too close to the edge of the mountain, and he tumbled all the way down to near the bottom. And you could hear his voice going, "Ah!" The kids were petrified, but they knew not to move because that mountain lion was still there. He turned around and he looked. The mountain lion turned around and looked at the children, trying to decide was he going to bother with them or not. Then he looked over the edge of the mountain, and he saw where Grandpa had gone. He was too far down there for that mountain lion to decide to jump down there, and he just slowly trotted up the trail away from us. As soon as he was far enough away, Dad said, "Grandpa, are you all right?" Grandpa said, "Well, I think so. I hurt everywhere." He says, "Stay still. I'll go get the car and bring it around to the bottom of the mountain where we can get to you more easily." Well, Grandpa lay very still. Dad did go get the car and head for him, but the two kids said, "We have our camping stuff. Let's tie a rope around this tree and shimmy down to where Grandpa is and see if we can help him." So that's what the kids did. And when they got to the bottom, the little girl said, "Well, I have water and a rag and some cream that's supposed to be for hurts." So she washed Grandpa's sores off and put medicine on those. While the little boy, Ricky, he looked at Grandpa's foot and he says, "Oh, Grandpa, this does not look good." He said, "I need to put a splint on it." And he got some sticks from the woods and put that beside his ankles, and then he wrapped it in an ace bandage. Well, about the time the two kids were finished, their dad got there. They helped Grandpa to the car, and they took him to the hospital. In the hospital, they had to x-ray Grandpa's foot. And sure enough, it was broken. But the doctor looked at Ricky and he said, Ricky, if you had not done that for his ankle before he got here, he would have had to have surgery. You saved him from having a very painful injury. They put a cast on Grandpa's foot, and they all drove home. Boy, did they have a story to tell Mom. Well, when they walked in the door, Mom said, where in the world have you guys been? Dinner's been ready for an hour. But then she saw Grandpa's foot. Oh no, what happened? Grandpa said, oh, I'll tell you all about it at dinner. And they all sat down. They had dinner together while Grandpa told his story.